Burnout in the modern world doesn't feel like a collapse at first. It begins quietly, the way a city turns its lights on one bulb at a time, a small glow in the distance, a little heat under the skin, a voice that whispers, just a little more. It feels harmless, almost noble. The world around you moves fast, so you try to match its rhythm. You stay online a bit longer. You answer one more message. You say yes when every part of you wants to say no. And the city keeps glowing and you keep glowing with it, not noticing how close you're getting to the fire. Everywhere you look, someone is holding a kind of modern flame, the glow of a laptop at midnight, the blue light of a phone screen reflected on tired faces in a subway car, the neon signs of a culture that celebrates those who never stop. We don't call it fire, but that's exactly what it is. Attention, ambition, pressure, speed. A flame that burns quietly through the cracks of daily life. And somewhere in the middle of this, you begin stealing that fire for yourself. Just like Prometheus did in the old myth. He took the sacred flame from the gods because he wanted to give humanity something powerful, something bright, something that promised progress. But the myth never told us how heavy that fire is when you try to hold it in your hands. In the city, in our offices, on our screens, we reenact this story without noticing. We steal fire every time we push beyond our limits. We carry it in our pockets and call it productivity. We let it live in our thoughts and call it ambition. We feel the heat growing, but we tell ourselves it's fine. At first, it even feels good, like you're rising, like you're becoming the version of yourself the world expects. You walk fast, talk fast, think fast. You move through hallways lit by fluorescent lights humming like nervous constellations. You scroll through feeds that tell you everyone else is achieving more. You sit in rooms where people talk about growth as if it were the only direction a human should ever move. And with every step you tighten a little more, though you don't see it yet. Burnout doesn't announce itself. It doesn't strike suddenly. It grows in places the city never looks. In the silence between notifications, in the weight behind your eyes after long days, in the pressure in your chest when you pretend everything is fine. Burnout begins as an imbalance between your humanity and the world's demands, between your natural rhythm and the speed the city forces on you, between who you are and who you feel you must perform. Modern life teaches us to move like machines. It teaches us that rest is suspicious, that slowness is failure, that stopping is dangerous. The city rewards those who run even when they are running on empty. And you learn to ignore the small signs, the skipped breath, the shallow sleep, the quiet dread that waits for you in the morning. You learn to push through the warning signals the way commuters push through a crowded station, telling yourself that everyone else seems to manage, so you should too. But the body keeps score. The mind keeps score, the soul keeps score, and slowly, the fire you tried to carry silently starts burning into your days. You wake up already tired. You reach for your phone before reaching for your breath. You stare at screens without seeing anything. You feel the weight of tasks that used to feel small. The world becomes loud, and your inner world becomes quiet. Too quiet. Burnout is not one moment. Burnout is the slow fading of your inner flame until all that remains is smoke. Burnout shows itself first in the places we try hardest to hide. In the body that suddenly feels heavier when you step into the morning air. In the breath that feels trapped somewhere high in your chest. In the shoulders that live as if waiting for an invisible impact. Cities are full of people who walk with this quiet tension, moving through streets as if they were carrying small emergencies inside their ribs. You see it everywhere if you know how to look. Tired eyes on a train, stiff posture in elevators, people blinking slowly at a glowing screen. These are the small flames of burnout flickering behind modern faces. The city amplifies this exhaustion. Tall buildings lean over you like monuments to endless work. Billboards flash messages promising success if you simply push harder. Notifications light up like tiny divine commands, pulling your attention away from yourself again and again. Every corner, every screen, every sound whispers the same modern myth. Keep going, keep glowing, keep burning. And because everyone else is burning too, you start believing that fire is the normal temperature of life. But humans were not designed to live inside a constant blaze. Our bodies crave rhythms, warm and cool, light and dark, movement and rest. Burnout happens when the cycle breaks, when the fire never dims, when the city convinces you that the night exists only to catch up on what the day could not fit. Sleep becomes shallow, interrupted by thoughts that flicker like neon signs that refuse to switch off. You wake up tired, as if you've been negotiating with your dreams all night. Psychology calls this the collapse of regulation. Mythology calls it hubris, the moment a human tries to carry something meant for gods. Sociology calls it structural pressure, a culture that demands more than a body can give. Urban mythopoetics, TM, sees all three at once. Burnout is not just emotional, it is symbolic. It is the moment when your inner world becomes misaligned with the outer world's pace, when your flame is forced to burn in a city that never cools down, and inside you, something begins to shift. You start losing your sense of time. Hours feel thick and slow, while weeks disappear without memory. You work, you scroll, you answer, you move, but it all blends together. The days lose their edges. You stop feeling the difference between Monday and Thursday. Life becomes a long hallway with no doors. You keep walking because stopping feels terrifying. The fire inside you burns steadily, silently, unkindly. Burnout changes your perception. Streets that once felt exciting now feel heavy. Crowds that once energized you now drain you. The city, with all its lights and movement, begins to feel like a living being hungry for your attention. Every email becomes a demand. Every message becomes a task. Every silence becomes a reminder of something you haven't done. And still, you push through, because the city makes you believe pushing is the only way to survive. Emotionally, burnout creates distance. You start to drift from your own feelings. Joy becomes rare not because life loses beauty, but because your mind is too overwhelmed to absorb it. Sadness becomes muted. Anger comes in quick sparks. You feel less like yourself and more like your reflection, familiar yet hollow, like a shadow walking beside its own body. You laugh because it's expected, not because you truly feel it. You smile so others won't worry. You pretend because the world rewards pretending, and all along the myth of Prometheus continues. You keep holding the fire, believing it will eventually give you the life you want. But the truth is simple. The fire is burning you because you're carrying it alone. Even the ancient Titans suffered for the flame he chose. And yet we walk through our cities trying to be stronger than a mythic figure carved from stone and story. Burnout is the moment when your system, psychological, emotional, physical, symbolic, begins to say, enough, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily like a soft wind trying to put out a flame that has been burning too fast for too long. Burnout does not only take your energy, it begins taking pieces of your inner world, one quiet moment at a time. You feel your focus slipping like sand through your fingers. You read the same sentence over and over without absorbing anything. You stare at a glowing screen, but your mind cannot follow the lines. The city keeps moving outside your window, but the movement inside you slows down, thickens, becomes heavy. You start living in a fog that no amount of coffee or willpower seems able to lift. And the fog is not the enemy. The fog is a message. It is the mind saying, I cannot keep burning at this speed. In depth psychology, this is the moment when the psyche withdraws its energy from the world. Mythologically, it is the retreat of the hero into the cave, the descent into the underworld before transformation. In urban life, it looks like losing yourself in subway rides you don't remember. It looks like walking home through streets that feel both familiar and distant. It looks like sitting in a meeting without hearing a single word, even though your body is present in the chair. Burnout makes the world feel distant because you have been distant from yourself for too long. You gave your attention to deadlines, demands, and screens until there was none left for your own inner life. When attention collapses, identity feels blurry. You begin questioning who you are without all the tasks, without the pressure, without the constant sense of urgency. You start wondering what remains of you when the noise stops. These questions are not a sign of breaking. They are a sign of waking up. But burnout brings fear too. A quiet fear, the kind that doesn't shout, but lingers behind your ribs. Fear of stopping, fear of disappointing others, fear of losing everything you worked so hard for. Fear that if you slow down, you might never be able to speed up again. This fear is not irrational. It is the result of a society built on endless acceleration. When the world trains you to run, standing still feels dangerous. Sociology calls this the culture of overextension, a collective belief that if you are not expanding, you are failing. Cities reflect this belief through their endless construction sites. Always building, always rising, never finished. We internalize the skyline. We become skyscrapers under construction, scaffolding holding us together while we try to grow taller than our foundations can support. And yet somewhere inside you, something begins resisting, a small part of you that remembers a softer rhythm. A part that misses quiet mornings without alarms. A part that longs for evenings without glowing screens. A part that wonders if life is supposed to feel different than this. This inner resistance is not weakness. It is instinct. It is the self trying to pull you out of a mythic loop that no longer protects you. In mythic language, this is the moment the hero realizes the fire they stole is too heavy to carry alone. In modern language, this is when burnout becomes impossible to ignore. Your body begins sending signals stronger than your schedule. Your mind begins refusing tasks you used to complete easily. Your emotions begin rising from places you kept locked away. You may feel sadness appear unexpectedly, like a wave rising under fluorescent light. You may feel anger, small but sharp, at the way your life has been shaped by expectations you never chose. You may feel grief for the person you used to be, before the flame grew too hot. These emotions are not interruptions, they are guides. They reveal what the city tries to hide, that humans are not meant to live in a state of constant output, that the soul requires pauses the way cities require nights. That meaning cannot be found in a life where every moment is scheduled and every quiet breath feels stolen. As burnout deepens, you reach a threshold, a symbolic doorway between the life you have been living and the life you can no longer ignore. You may not walk through it yet. You may not even see it clearly, but you feel it. There's a quiet truth forming in the back of your awareness. Something has to change. It is the same moment in the myth when Prometheus realizes the fire he delivered to the world has consequences he did not foresee. It is the moment the Titan understands that giving too much, carrying too much, shining too brightly for others comes at a cost. And in the city, we experience this cost not through ancient punishment, but through exhaustion that creeps into every part of our being. Burnout is the myth of Prometheus written in neon, a story about what happens when you give away your fire until none remains for yourself. Healing from burnout does not begin with a breakthrough. It begins with a pause, a small, fragile pause that feels almost wrong at first. The city outside keeps moving, humming, rushing, glowing, but something inside you slows down. Not because you choose to, but because you finally reach a point where your system refuses to continue burning at the same speed. This pause is not weakness, it is survival. It is the moment the fire stops being your master and becomes a signal. At first, the pause feels uncomfortable. Your mind expects the usual noise, the usual pressure, the usual urgency. You might stare at your phone out of habit, even when no one is asking for anything. Silence feels unfamiliar, like stepping into a room you forgot existed, but this silence is ancient. It is the part of you that existed long before deadlines, long before notifications, long before the city convinced you that your worth came from your output. Silence is where your original rhythm waits to be remembered. In mythology, Prometheus's suffering only begins when he stops running, when he faces the consequence of carrying a fire that was never meant to be held without rest. Burnout follows the same pattern. The moment you stop pushing is the moment everything you ignored finally reaches the surface. You begin feeling emotions that have been waiting in the shadows. Sadness, frustration, confusion, grief. These emotions are not setbacks. They are the truth you postponed because life was too fast to let you hear it. Psychology calls this a return of the self. You begin reconnecting with parts of you that were silenced by the noise of productivity. The part of you that enjoys slow mornings. The part of you that thinks deeply. The part of you that feels wonder. Burnout disconnects you from yourself. Healing reconnects you. But connection requires time, softness, patience, qualities the city rarely rewards. This is why healing can feel like walking against the current of your entire environment. While you rest, the world continues its acceleration. While you slow down, advertisements tell you to optimize your life. While you breathe deeply, social media celebrates hustle and endless ambition. The city doesn't know how to honor rest, so you must learn to honor it for yourself. Healing becomes an act of rebellion, a quiet refusal to participate in a system that benefits from your exhaustion. In this phase, your senses slowly return. Colors seem brighter than before, sounds feel more layered. You notice small details, the way sunlight hits a concrete wall, the patterns of shadows under a passing train, the softness of your breath when you're finally paying attention. You begin to feel the world again, not as a battlefield, but as a landscape. The city no longer feels like a giant consuming your energy, but as a mirror reflecting your internal state. Sociologically, this is the moment when people shift from external validation to internal stability. You stop measuring yourself by productivity. You stop trying to impress invisible audiences. You stop chasing the illusion that constant motion leads to fulfillment. Instead, you begin choosing experiences that restore you. You choose quiet walks over crowded timelines. You choose depth over speed. You choose presence over performance. As your system rewires itself, you start remembering what genuine rest feels like. Rest that isn't collapsing from exhaustion. Rest that isn't guilt wrapped in stillness. Rest that nourishes. Rest that rebuilds. Your breath becomes deeper without effort. Your shoulders relax without permission. Your mind starts creating space again. Space for curiosity, for reflection, for imagination. And this imagination is a sign that your inner fire is returning. Not the wildfire of burnout, not the frantic flame that consumes you, but a gentle, steady light that warms from the inside. A flame you can hold without burning yourself. A flame that feels like yourself returning after a long absence. Prometheus eventually learns that fire must be shared carefully, that the gift of light comes with responsibility, not to the world but to the one who carries it. In your healing, you learn the same truth. You begin understanding that ambition without rest becomes destruction, that passion without boundaries becomes suffering, that giving without replenishing becomes self-erasure. Healing is not the end of the myth, it is the rewriting of it. It is the moment you realize you can still carry fire, but you no longer have to burn to keep it alive. Recovery from burnout does not happen in one moment. It unfolds slowly, like dawn moving across the surface of a quiet city. Light returns inch by inch. Strength returns breath by breath. You begin noticing that the world no longer feels as sharp. The noise no longer enters your body the same way. The fire inside you no longer roars. It glows, it hums, it steadies. And for the first time in a long time, you feel the possibility of wholeness. You start rebuilding your inner architecture. Not the skyscraper version of yourself that culture pushed you to become, but a more grounded structure. Something human, something sustainable, something honest. You no longer try to stand taller than your foundations. You reorganize your pace. You create boundaries where there used to be none. You let silence exist without apology. You allow your energy to rise and fall naturally, like the lights of a city breathing in cycles. This rebuilding begins shaping your decisions. You choose work that aligns with your values instead of tasks that drain your spirit. You choose relationships that nourish instead of consume. You choose goals that feel meaningful instead of goals that impress strangers. You choose to listen to your body instead of betraying it for productivity. The city still moves fast, but you no longer treat its pace as law. You walk at your rhythm. You breathe at your rhythm. You live at your rhythm. And slowly, you begin to remember what joy feels like when it is not rushed. Joy in small things. The warmth of sunlight on your hands, the quiet hum of a late-night street, the simple comfort of sitting without needing to perform. You feel curiosity returning, not the pressured kind, but the gentle kind that comes from a mind finally free to wander. Burnout steals imagination. Healing gives it back. You also start recognizing the early signs that once went unnoticed. A tight breath, a racing thought, a day that feels heavier than it should. Instead of ignoring these signs, you respond to them. You rest when you need rest. You step back when the fire starts rising too quickly. You treat your energy as something sacred, not disposable. This is wisdom earned through myth. The understanding that fire must be held with care. Your relationship with ambition changes too. You no longer chase goals as if your value depends on reaching them. You pursue them with balance, with patience, with respect for your limits. Ambition becomes a companion, not a ruler. Your dreams evolve from burdens into lights, guiding you forward without consuming you. This is what happens when the fire shifts from destructive to creative. And somewhere along this journey, you realize something profound. You are not afraid anymore, not afraid of stopping, not afraid of resting, not afraid of losing momentum, not afraid of disappointing a system that never cared for your well-being. You begin to understand that burnout was not an ending, and it was a threshold. It was the moment your old life became too small for the person you were becoming. It was the breaking of a pattern that no longer fit your soul. It was the symbolic death before rebirth, the underworld descent before returning with new sight. Mythology teaches that every fire has two faces, creation and destruction. Burnout is what happens when you live only in the destructive side. Healing is the remembering of the other side, the side that warms, illuminates, inspires, the side that helps you see in the dark without setting yourself on fire. When you step out of burnout, the city looks different. Not hostile, not overwhelming, just alive. You see people carrying their own invisible flames rushing through their own mythic battles. You recognize reflections of your past self in their tired eyes. And with this recognition comes compassion, not superiority. You understand that everyone is navigating a story they rarely speak out loud. And now, with the fire burning gently inside you, you walk differently. You move with awareness, you choose with intention, you breathe with depth, you honor your limits, you protect your light. You carry your fire not as a burden, but as something sacred, something that deserves rhythm, care, and space. This is the true lesson of the Prometheus myth in the modern world. Fire is powerful, but it is not meant to be carried alone, endlessly, without pause. Fire needs hands that respect it. Fire needs a life that can hold it without being consumed. Burnout was the warning. Healing is the rewriting. And you are the one who chooses how the flame will burn from here on. You walk forward, no longer a spark in danger of burning out, but a steady flame learning how to light the path without losing itself in the glow.